But I told you we had new drama today. And I mean it. I didn't just make that up. That wasn't me making it up, wasn't the drama. I mean, the World Rapid just started. And already I saw Big Nepo was tweeting. Already. Dear at FIDE Chess and organizers of the championship. As known, all animals are equal. Yes, animals. But some are more equal than others. Okay? A familiar quote. Is it fair to provide Magnus Carlsen a personal lounge where he can rest and prepare for the game using a laptop while nobody else has such an opportunity? Now, before we start, diagnosing, breaking down what we just read, let me add a little bit of context just to help you understand where this is coming from. So in round 1 of the tournament, Nepomniachtchi draws a 2500. Okay? In round 2, he was paired against a 2000. He drew the game from a lost position. It happens, believe me. Now I've played this tournament. I got some first-hand experience. I've been in the World Rapid at Blitz. The last thing you want to be doing is battling like the 2Ks who are all dangerous. But, this gives a little bit of context to what he ended up tweeting. Okay, it looks like a pretty even position, but understandably Nepo does not want an equal position at all. He plays Queen H4. Yes, giving up the entire rook. In fact, giving up this one as well, but he's clearly going for mate here. Opponent finds the best defensive move, which is a rook to d6, in order to maybe bring the rook over to g6. Not the most tricky move to find, especially when you're sitting here like, what do I do? How do I defend? Even if he had played a different move, it still would have been a draw. Like, Nepo's not forcing checkmate here, that's for sure. And then here, although King f7 is given by the engine as like the best move, and black can play for a win, I understand. The guy's 2000. He plays this, and he knows that he's going to make a draw against Nepo. Like, I don't really blame the guy. Plus, this is very tricky to calculate as well, in a way, because you get a little bit scared, start losing all your pawns. I understand a little bit. And so they draw the game like this. So that's just a little bit of context. Nepo draws the first game. He draws the second game against the 2000. Game 3, he loses to a 2490. Game 4, he wins. He does beat a 2300. And then game 5, he's back to his winning ways. And who knows, maybe he might come back in this tournament for a very epic result. But draw, and loss to start the World Rapid Championship for Nepo, who's, I'm not sure, but I think he might even be like the second highest rated player in the event or something like that. Like, he's way up there at the start of the tournament in terms of starting placement. So a tough start for Nepo, clearly. And then we see this tweet, right? And this tweet comes after all those games were played. So now having seen, just a tough start for the lad, I can relate. Then he's like, is it actually fair that we're providing Magnus Carlsen a personal lounge where he can rest and prepare for the games, and no one else has such an opportunity? So this is the current brewing drama. What do you guys think? I have my. I think I'm pretty set in my ways how I feel about this. But what do you guys think about Nepo? Obviously, it's a little bit emotionally charged. We all can point out maybe inequalities a little easier when we're not having the best day. I think that's everyone can freely admit that. But even taking that into account, do you agree the vermin Magnus Carlsen shouldn't be afforded any privileges? Oh, and let's operate with the assumption that this is fully true. So don't think like, oh, is this true? Is this not true? Or is this hypothetical? No, this is occurring. This is occurring. Yeah. Can we get some pictures of the lounge? Exactly. I want to see this lounge. Let me take a gander. Magnus is not Caesar's wife. Yes. So let's start with something obvious. Not that it's an explanation for the current situation, but let's start with something obvious that happens in every sport, every, let's say, industry around the world. The leader in that industry is going to receive different treatment than everyone else in that industry. And to not understand that is crazy. Like that is how it works. I can't think of, and again, it's when it comes to maybe giving an unfair advantage to actually compete in the sport. No, I'm not necessarily talking about that, but just think of like, if you're the best at something, yeah, you have perks. You have perks. That's just, those are the facts. Now, when it comes to actually competing, of course, like in a soccer game, Messi doesn't have like, it's not like Messi's team has like an extra player on it so that his team always wins. That's ridiculous. But I'm saying Messi probably has extra security provided by the team. I'm sure he has his own private room. I'm sure he has a lot of perks that other players don't have. And guess what? That makes sense. That makes sense to me. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that makes sense to me. If you're an industry leader, if you're the best player in a game or a sport, like, it makes sense. It does. You should have some special treatment, and I'm sure Nepo, compared to other players, also has some special treatment. But when it comes to maybe the actual competition, that's where I think Jan is raising some points that are valid. Right? When it comes to truly competing on the same level as your peers, then I think he's raising some points that certainly need to be looked into. But when it comes to just the baseline, not talking about like an advantage while competing, but just like, oh, this guy has a few extra perks. Yeah, you could always make the argument that a nicer hotel room will make you play better chess, and so it's an advantage when it comes to the competition. But I think that's a stretch. I think that's too far. Guess what? Magnus Carlsen might have access to the nicest hotel room, maybe of all the players. I don't have a problem with that. I think that's how it should be. You could always make the argument that, well, actually, because of his threat count, he's having better sleeps, and therefore he's more well-rested and performing at a higher level. I don't think... Is it fair to say that we all generally agree on that? That, like, it's okay to have special treatment when you're to fucking goat at something, like that's okay. Is the only thing that's controversial here just a true advantage in terms of competition? Is that the only thing that bugs people? Or does it actually bug people that maybe he has a nicer hotel or extra security or a private car that picks him up and brings him to the games and whatever? Because I have no problem with any of that. As far as I'm concerned, Buddy deserves it. That's how it should work. And that's what's probably going to motivate a lot of people to get to the top of a certain industry. Yeah, you get treated differently. You get treated like a superstar because you are. So I think that's the first distinction to make. When I saw this tweet, it's like I think there's going to be people on both sides, as with any issue. But I do think that you need to separate just preferential treatment, which I think I encourage. And I think that's good. No, I don't think every chess player is equal. I think that's just not true. Magnus brings more to the game of chess than anyone. But we're not here to give Magnus Carlsen some type of like very, very serious advantage when it comes to competition. So that's the first. I think that's an important distinction. That's all. But yes, Grotesian, I agree. I think the laptop sounds like the focus of this tweet. The private lounge, the personal lounge, I care a little bit less about the personal lounge thing. But I think that if the players are not allowed a laptop, like let's say in the playing hall or even in the building, it's like no electronics, no laptops, and Magnus is in a personal lounge where they're providing a laptop and maybe electronics, then I think that's different. Right? If no one's allowed a laptop, Buddy's allowed a laptop, all of a sudden we're talking about something that actually provides you a real advantage when it comes to competition. Now, I've played this tournament, the World Rapid and Blitz, and my experience was you checked in and there's a lot of security and you had to leave all your electronics, so laptops, phones, you had to leave them at the front. There's like a coat check, they take your electronics, and then from the, let's say the front entrance, or the coat check for lack of a better word, then you can enter down some hallways to the playing hall. And it's maybe like, I don't know, a minute walk from the playing hall to the coat check area. So after you're done your rapid game in the tournament, let's say you finish very quickly and everyone else is still playing the round. Obviously, you have a big break. You have all the time from when your game is done to when the last game of the round is done. And then you have all the time where they provide a normal break for all players, so that in case your game was the last to finish, you're still entitled to a little bit of a break. So maybe you could have as long as like a 20-25 minute break in a rapid event. And if you go from the playing hall out to the front, you can go get your phone. You can go get your laptop and you can use it. So you're just not allowed to have it in the playing hall. Duh. Now, admittedly, maybe for Magnus, it's slightly more convenient, meaning that instead of like his game finishes, he leaves the playing hall, goes back and gets his coat from coat check and his bag maybe he has a laptop in the bag, cell phone. You know, he has to kind of sit on like one of the benches and use the laptop, or like maybe go outside and use the phone, like, or maybe like run back to the hotel room. No one would do this probably, but like run to the hotel room, run back. Like, it's a bit ridiculous. So I agree that Magnus, probably based on what Jan is saying, has it a little bit nicer than that. Instead, he just walks up to his lounge where his laptop is there, instead of having to go out to coat check and retrieve his phone and retrieve his laptop like everyone else. But I don't think there's any situation where it's like nobody is allowed an electronic device at the venue except Magnus Carlsen. I don't think there's anything close to that happening. The only thing that I think is happening is that Magnus has a lounge, and maybe the guys are speculating about preferential treatment past that, because maybe you could just, I mean, who knows how far the personal lounge goes. Maybe there's some strippers in there, you never know. But what I understand about it after playing the tournament is everyone has access to an electronic device. You just have to go get it from your coach after the game. Makes total sense. You can't bring your electronics in the playing hall, so you coat check, you leave your bag, and after you're done your game, you can just go get your bag. You can go get your bag. So, it might be a little more inconvenient, but hey, everyone's got the same access. Might be a little more comfortable for Magnus, but I think it probably should be a little more comfortable for the guy who is, by the way, not the world champion right now, but the world Blitz champion and the world Rapid champion. So it's like, you're talking about a guy who's not only the best player of all time, very debatably, but pretty much the GOAT, but he's also the champion of Blitz and of Rapid, which is the tournament he's at. So it's like, it's not that crazy to provide the champion of the actual event like a lounge to make his experience more comfortable. I don't think that's crazy at all. I also don't think Magnus has some lounge with like 12 computers set up where everyone is like performing some massive like hackathon and like coming up with crazy theory that no one else is able to do. Like, I don't think that's what's happening. It's not like some NASA space station in there. Now, someone is saying in the chat, I have no idea about this, but that that his dad said that they don't even have a laptop there. But I don't know where that information is coming from. If he doesn't even have a laptop, then it's even funnier. But as far as I can see, even if he has a laptop there, everyone else can have a laptop at the tournament. You just finish your game, go get your laptop. That's just how it works. Like, I've done the same. I've played the tournament. Yes, so ever ready. That's 100% correct. You would have to spend probably a few more minutes. If what I'm saying is correct, that's correct. You would have to spend a few more minutes. Everyone else would have to spend a few more minutes, maybe going out, walking out of the venue, small security, getting your coat check, right? Waiting in line a little bit for that, getting it. Obviously, like not having a special dedicated place you can go, just kind of sitting on like a bench or something, or a chair, or just looking at your phone. So definitely not as comfortable. There's no debate about that. But that's where I'm saying, like, how much of it is unfair and how much of it is supposed to be there because he is the world Rapid champion, because he's the world Blitz champion. Like, Magnus is not on the same level as other people in chess ever, basically. So, to what degree are you extending privileges because of how good he is and he's the current champion of this exact tournament? And then to what degree is it an unfair advantage? So that's why I'm sure there are people that are going to be supportive of both sides here. Hey, Paul. You support the strippers? Yeah, strippers in the lounge would be... I'm definitely in favor of strippers in the lounge. Oh, is Fabi tweeting as well, Jeff? I think I saw something like that. Fabi in response to this says, can't be stressed more that everyone should play under the same conditions. Can't be stressed more. So again, are we talking about the same conditions when it comes to like, because here's the thing. Not everyone is playing under the same conditions, and it's pretty impossible to regulate, right? Like, one of the players could just have a nicer hotel than one of the other players. Those aren't the same conditions. So at what point are the conditions like just kind of preferential conditions, and at what point are they, let's say, like tournament regulation conditions that directly affect the play? Because it's like, what does same conditions mean? Let me give you an example, right? When people play these tournaments, top players, guess what? Guys like Magnus, top 10 players in the world, guys like Fabi, even Nepo, they're probably paid to be there, right? Those are the conditions they're playing under. They're probably paid to be there. They're probably given a hotel room. Do you guys think that a 2,500 player who shows up to the World Rapid Championship, do you guys think a 2,400 player, perhaps named Amon Hambleton, who shows up to the World Rapid and Blitz, is entitled to the same conditions? Should I be paid to play the tournament? Should I be in the nicest hotel in Uzbekistan? Makes no sense. So obviously, I'm assuming that Fabi and the guys kind of mean conditions that affect your actual gameplay in the tournament. Those should be identical. But at what point, like, everything could affect your gameplay. So I'm not really sure where you draw the line. Like, a nicer hotel, you could make the argument, makes you play better. Having the tournament fully funded and paid for, you could argue makes you play a lot better. You feel comfortable. Like, some guys are traveling to the tournament, spending like $4,000, and they have like almost no chance to win a prize. They're going to be playing like much different chess, different headspace than the guys who have the tournament all covered and, you know, just having a holiday. But at that point, it just gets kind of ridiculous. Like, I don't really know where you draw the line, though. Actually, everyone needs to play under the same conditions. So every single person has to arrive to the airport and sleep in the same room, military style. We all wear this FIDE uniform and sleep in the same room, and we all eat the same meals. Like, just like obviously that's ridiculous what I'm saying, but where do you put the line then? I just don't know. Like, you can make the argument that so many things affect your ability to play in a positive or negative direction. MVL tweet as well. Why does nobody else have such an opportunity? Because we love drama. I also believe the players should have equal playing conditions. The personal lounge is not the issue here, but the easy access to a computer in between the games is one serious inequity. That's MVL's take. And that's pretty much what I was getting at as well. That I think you need to separate the two. Like, people need to calm down and realize that Magnus deserves a personal lounge. Like, everyone can go fuck themselves, to be honest. Like, the best player in every sport, when they show up to an event, yeah, they have a fucking personal lounge. Like, that's how it works. But sure, this is why I was mentioning the other guys, like, that's what I was like, where do you draw the line? Because all the players will have to exit the playing hall, go get their like electronic devices. And to be honest, I played the tournament before. It's not very comfortable. it does feel like a bit of a rat race. Just so many people in a room, and after the game, usually instead of prepping, you'll just kind of like socialize, talk to some of the players. So I don't know. If it took 10 minutes to go get the laptop in between games, is that an inequality? If it took 30 seconds to go get the laptop between games, is that then okay? I don't know. But I definitely think the lounge and everything like that is fine, so I'd be surprised if people still have issues about that. But as I said right at the beginning, I think Nepo, the real things that I think he's raising with his tweet that I do agree with is the fact that the playing field should be level. But it's a big gray area what actually qualifies as affecting or leveling the playing field, or perhaps unevening the playing field. Does a hotel room count? Does access to a computer count? I don't know. That's the part I really don't know. Very tough for FIDE to regulate. Like, what rules are they going to put in place? So, yeah, that's fair, Boris. That's fair. You could have like the lounge in place, like a place for him to chill. Because also, like, if Magnus doesn't have like his own area to chill, like, he probably will be bombarded by like media maybe. So I'm sure it's one of his conditions that he just kind of has for tournaments he plays, is like he needs to have like his own space. And I'm sure that if they couldn't provide that space for him, then he would be like, okay, like, no problem, I just won't play the tournament. And that's fine. I'm sure, like, I don't think Magnus has played every World Rapid and Blitz, and maybe it has been because they just weren't able to, like, match the, they weren't able to match, like, let's say the conditions that he was looking for, and that's fine. Like, I don't think either side is in the wrong there. Him for asking or them for refusing. No, I know nobody mentioned hotels, Pillow Pants, but I'm saying, like, if we're talking about access to a computer, is any quicker access to the computer an unfair advantage? Is there a time limit? I guess that's what I was talking about. No one did mention hotels, but I was just thinking, as players are like, oh, it has to be fair conditions for all. I think hotels, you could easily make an argument that having a nicer hotel is just a bigger advantage, and it is, truly, but it's not one that can be avoided, so I don't think anyone's really bringing that up. But yeah, you could definitely have the lounge there and just say, okay, the lounge is there, but no electronics. And let's also be clear, like, if Magnus had to go out and get his laptop the way that other players have to, like, yeah, he'd be less motivated to do that. I believe that. So that could be a change.